And recording. So I've been meaning to get back to Crystal Lake for a while now. I've done two reactions to them so far. A song called Apollo, and the first one I did was The Circle, I think. If I remember correctly, The Circle had a guest vocalist, and the track kind of reminded me of like a Linkin Park sound, mostly because of the way the two singers were like approaching their vocals. But when I clicked on Apollo, it was much different, much more frenetic and energetic and like pretty heavy, like worlds apart the two sounds were. So I'm curious to see what direction the band actually takes, or what any given track I listen to is going to sound like, if it's going to be maybe even a third sound. So I have a suggestion here to do Aeon, and I have that queued up here on YouTube, the official music video, and it was uploaded about 2 years ago. So I'm assuming this is pretty recent, and maybe off the last album. So just under 4 minutes, about 3.5. I'm just gonna jump into it pretty blindly. Go. That's cool.
Spiral into dust. Helix.
It's love, the kingdom of glory. With the surface, with the serpents of our way. Could it bring them dissolved? With what it was designed. Someone done so much of the circulation. Beyond the vision, slowly fulfills of the human race. From the wood, throw up by the shades. Give up the love to God. Witness the human race. They quest for your perfection. Our perfection. Give up the love to God. Witness the human race. They quest for more perfection. Give in to system. Give up the love to God. Witness the human race. They quest for your perfection. Our perfection. Give up the love to God. Witness the human race. They quest for more perfection. Give in to system. The perversion of.
I'm gonna pause it there. There's a lot happening. A lot of drum work, a lot of blast beats. So this sounds more like Apollo than it does The Circle. So that's actually kind of pleasing because I preferred that sound anyway. There's a chord progression happening with the guitar work that's unexpected. Like it went completely in a different direction than I thought it would go. Like, it's only 4 chords, but the ones they chose, like, the way it just sort of lowers itself. It's a up, back, up. That's a weird way to classify it and talk about it, but yeah. So it's going into like this really frenetic drum work, blast beat city, and then it switches to that like sort of odd progression that I really like, and it's going back and forth between the two. So this is sounding really cool and unexpected. Let me backtrack just a little. Go!
The perversion of cognition. Sometimes but the delusion. Ruin. Red burn. It's time to set the flash. It's time you're meant to be. Reborn for eternity.
succeeding. I have come down to see what they have done altogether.
We were damned from the sun, covered with plagues of printed cells, controlled by plastic size and templated eyes. No salvation for humanity, so wicked and filthy. And still we will proclaim in the circle we
I'm watching their silence.
That was a pretty abrupt ending. Huh. That was interesting. That last little bit of it, where the robot and him are doing the creation of Adam, touching tips there. It sounded almost like the drums were like electronically programmed. Like obviously there's a lot of glitchy effects and a lot of electronic sounds going on, and there's robots and he has a thing, so like the electronic kind of like aspect is like mirrored in the visuals as well. But it seemed like the drummer was actually playing the actual kicks, like the double bass, at such an insane fucking tempo. But construction wise, it almost seems like they created this the template for the song like on a program, like on a computer, and then just like transition to trying to play it live. So it's a cool way to actually like approach like songwriting. And I don't know necessarily if that's the way they did it, but that just sort of breakup of electronic glitchy sounds to then like super fast bass or double bass to the glitchy sounds to that is an interesting way to sort of create, I guess, an outro. But yeah, there's a lot of vocal range to him too. Like he went into that super guttural space for a little bit. Like it didn't even sound like he was saying words, like he was just making sounds. But he got into that like the guy from Slaughter to Prevail does, just getting really, really low and just where it sounds like a demon is talking. And that's kind of cool. Yeah, lots of energy. Lots of energy. And this, again, the composition, construction kind of leaves me like speechless because like I did not expect any of it. Like it went in directions where I would never have gone myself. So like hats off to them for just the creativity aspect to it. And it all sounded really good too. The flow of it, I kind of wanted it to flow a little bit better. Like that ending just kind of came out of nowhere. And that back and forth with the drumming and the electronic sounds kind of felt like it was a midpoint. Like it was going to transition back into that opening verse riff kind of deal. But yeah, it's cool for what it is. It almost sounds incomplete, but in the context of the album, which I haven't heard, it might make perfect sense. So I'd have to hear what comes after it. And maybe what came before it, just to get like a better idea of the kind of journey that the album has. But very creative. And again, the drummer, how does it get so goddamn fast? That was so fucking fast. Pardon my language. I'm tripping out a little bit because that was so fast. So this sounded more in line with Apollo. And the circle was a little slower tempoed. It might just be that was an older song and they're transitioning into like or maturing or evolving into this kind of sound. So I'm going to have to maybe listen to some older stuff too to see the relation that each particular song has or the evolution of it. But yeah, Really cool, really interesting.